It was a warm spring day in June when 63-year-old Carol Carr went to visit her two adult sons in the Sunbridge Nursing Home in Georgia, where the two men shared a room. Both suffered from Huntington's disease, the debilitating disease that had robbed them of their ability to eat or even speak. Both men suffered from the disease and were in advanced stages. Carol had watched as the disease had robbed her of her husband, his mother, his sister, and his brother. Now it was taking her sons. As on any other day, Carol went in to visit her sons, Andy, 41, and Michael, 42. But on this day, when Carol got there, she pulled a small caliber handgun out of her bag and shot each man once in the head. She then calmly walked out to the lobby and waited for police to arrive. According to ABC News, she said that she did it out of love. She could not stand to allow them to suffer anymore. In Georgia, if law had permitted for physician-assisted dying, Carol Carr's sons would have had the right to die with dignity before their minds and bodies were ravaged by the disease. Currently, only 4 states, Washington, Oregon, Montana, and Vermont, have laws allowing physician-assisted suicide to be legal. This means that if you want to apply your right to end your own life from a terminal illness, you have to be a resident of one of these 4 states. Let's begin to look at physician-assisted dying and the process that is followed. How physician-assisted dying works. According to Howard Bell's At Liberty to Die, physician-assisted suicide occurs when a medical physician allows a patient and makes it available to a patient a method for them to take their own life. Generally, it is a prescription with a fatal dose of drugs. A patient takes the drugs independently from the physician, unlike euthanasia, where a physician actually performs the act that ends a patient's life. The process. First, the patient must meet certain criteria. They must be competent. They must be deemed to have a terminal illness by a physician. They must make the informed decision after meeting with a second consulting physician. After that consulting physician has authorized the patient's request, the patient must wait 15 days before making a second oral request, and then a prescription may be written. We've discussed the how. Now let's move on to the why. Why should terminally ill patients have the right to have a physician assist them in ending their lives? It should be considered compassionate to help someone to end their suffering. Many terminal ill patients don't want to have extreme measures through medical care and end their life laying in bed, dying in a fog of medication. They would rather end their life on their own terms before the disease ravages their body and mind. Many terminally ill patients feel that they're a burden to their family once they can no longer take care of themselves. And then, according to Laurie Shaverton's book, A Chosen Death, it looks at the cost of taking care of a terminally ill patient. Oftentimes, a terminally ill patient's care could cost from $2,000 to $10,000 per month, emptying their bank accounts and leaving the family with the burden of many large hospital bills, leaving the family in financial ruin. When confronted with his own terminal illness, Dr. Eli Kahili chose to end his own life, assisted by Dr. Jack Kevorkian. Kevorkian's attorney commented in Kevorkian's book, Prescription Medicide, that Kahili was a physician himself and could get any kind of pain medication, but he came to Dr. Kevorkian to end his own suffering. There are times when pain medication will not suffice. Not only should terminally ill patients have the right to choose their fate, They should not have to choose to move out of state to do it. Why should federal legislation be enacted versus state law? Terminally ill patients currently have to move to and live in a state where physician-assisted dying is legal, which has spawned the terms death tourist, suicide tourist, and Oregon transplants. All 50 states would have to follow the same law if it was a federal law, whereas now it's mandated by each state. This makes physician-assisted dying an option to only the residents of those 4 states. According to a Pew Research survey in 2013, we are a country divided. As you can see, among men and women, as well as the entire population, we are divided evenly between those who disagree and those who agree with physician-assisted dying. Also, between an older group and younger group, it is also an even ratio. The difference comes in with college educated versus high school or less educated. College educated agree 58 and 57% for physician-assisted dying, whereas a less educated population, high school or less, disagree 63% and only 34% agree with physician-assisted dying. Allowing others the right to choose does not mean that this would be a choice that you would make for yourselves. The consequences of a patient's decision is not taken lightly. They must meet certain criteria for physician-assisted dying to be considered an option. Should government have the power to deny them this right? Although often referred to as physician-assisted suicide, it is preferably called physician-assisted dying. The word suicide is often associated with mental disorders. Terminally ill persons choosing to end their own life is not because they have a mental disorder. They simply make the choice to hasten the inevitable, and when the cure is only death. Should a mother be pushed to the point of murdering her own children just to give, instead of them having the right to die with dignity when they were unable to care for themselves any longer?